Hello class. Today we're going to look at using GitHub to turn in assignments, and we're going to be using the GitHub Classroom facility. So some of the other things that you've heard about GitHub you might not have to worry about. We'll take a look, okay? So I'm in our week 9 assignments. I'm going to click on this new assignment, and it's been revised to show this GitHub link to the GitHub Classroom. It's an invitation. I'm going to click on that. Now, I was already logged on previously to GitHub, so it went ahead and accepted this assignment. And now in my GitHub Overview page, if I go to look, I'm going to see this new repository. So we'll be looking at a repository for each assignment. I'm going to go click on the link to that repository. And when I look at this in GitHub right now, I don't really have anything going on. I mean, it's a brand new thing that I've created here. GitHub Classroom named it for me and created the repository, but I don't have any connection with any local repository on my machine. I want to use GitHub Desktop because it's going to make things so much easier. So I can click on this button, Setup in Desktop. I am going to open this. I think I better go download GitHub Desktop, so let's all do that. I thought it was going to link us to the download site, but it didn't. So I'll go find it and download it, and we should be able to install this pretty easily. Pretty quick download. And I'm going to run that. Now this is going to install a new client on my machine to connect to GitHub, and I'm going to use GitHub Desktop just because it makes things really simple for me, and I can show you guys a nice consistent way to do things. So the install should be pretty quick. As it's downloading, I want you to think about where you want your local repository to be stored. I'm going to put mine on my desktop. You could put yours in an Office folder that's online, a cloud-based folder if you like. You're getting a lot of network activity going on there, but that's totally okay. It's up to you. Again, I'm going to keep mine on my desktop because I know that using GitHub, it'll be very easy for me to clone that to another computer if I need to. And so I'm not going to use my cloud-based storage to save it, but again, I could. Now, the GitHub desktop has opened. It looks a little weird. Try to get that in a better situation for us. And you can see that I've already got a GitHub repository here on my computer that it's found. I'm going to kind of ignore that for now because we're not going to be working with that one. Other than that, I don't really have anything going on here. We have some options on GitHub Desktop, but notice it's nice and clean and simple. If we click on the drop down, we can add a repository, do anything like that that we like. We can collapse which repositories we're looking at, and we can publish things up to the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and minimize GitHub Desktop for right now because we've gotten that taken care of, and I'll close out of this window. Now I'm going to click on Setup in Desktop again. Remember, I'm back at GitHub looking at my repository for the assignment that was given to me by GitHub Classroom. Now I have a little bit better of a pop-up box. I'm going to open GitHub, and of course you could check that box to say that you didn't want to be prompted each time you open it. Now I'd like to create a new folder. Notice I have lots of them, but I want to create a new one for this, so I'm going to right click on my desktop, maybe. Oh, it's not going to let me. Come on, you silly thing. So let's see what I've got down here. I'll go into my desktop here. There we go. And I want to create a new folder. And I want this new folder to be named something different. clicked on it too fast. I'll make it be CIS 171 assignments. And then I'm going to click OK. Now this is going to be my local repository then for my assignments for my 171 class. If you were working with a different class here, you might want to create a different folder name, of course. Now once I do that and give the repository a local destination, it clones the folder from the remote, and I have now my week 09 radix sort assignment folder here created. I'm going to go ahead and do the other assignment too, just so we can see how it looks. I'll go back to Canvas and our list of assignments. Now, I had not already accepted this one, so notice it's behaving a little bit differently. You'll have this option, and I'm going to accept this assignment. And now again, it says I'm ready to go. I can click on the link to go directly to that new GitHub repository. So now if I look at my Ozarks Technical Community College organization, I should see that I have 2 repositories for my different assignments. Ready to go, okay? And if I go back to my GitHub desktop, I only have one. I only have the radix sort. So again, I need to take this new repository, my animation linked list, and set it up in my desktop on my remote machine. I'll choose the same folder. Now it's cloning, again from the remote, and now I see that I have both of these GitHub repositories set up on my local machine. I'm going to right click on one of them and choose Open in Explorer. You see now I'm in my CIS 171 assignments folder that I created on the desktop, and I have this folder for my radix sort project. If I look at the 171 assignments, I see another folder nicely created for my animation linked list project. Okay, so both of those are created now and associated nicely with my classroom assignment from GitHub. So how can I update my actual project and get that submitted? I'm going to open NetBeans. It's working. Now I'm going to create a new project. And I'm going to change my project location and browse for that folder that I've created on my desktop. 171 assignments. I'm going to work on the radix sort, so I'm going to select that folder. And then I'm going to name my project Now, when I created my project in that folder, let me close these others. You'll notice I have these little blue icons by everything, little disk icons, and those are because NetBeans recognizes that this project, this folder, is being controlled by GitHub. So we're seeing those icons, and our radixsort.java file is in green, and notice it says that it's been added, and that's what that green means, is that NetBeans now knows we're using a source code control system, and so it's using icons and different coloring to show us what kind of status our files are in. Because I've created this project now, I'm going to save everything. It's actually all saved. Let me minimize. Let's go back to our GitHub desktop. Now, on our GitHub desktop, I'm clicked on our radixsort project repository. So as I'm looking at that, I see that I have a lot of changes. These are the files that were created when I created this project. So I could now upload these or sync them properly to the cloud, to my GitHub account, so that I've got a sync point. So down here is where I'm going to enter my commit comment, and I'll say this is my project being created. Radixsort using NetBeans. Now as I type these, notice that the icon becomes available to commit to the master. I'm going to do that. Now it says there's no local changes because all of our changes have been committed here, so we need to publish those to the cloud. Let's go look at our cloud-based repository first. I'm going to go back to my organization and click on the correct repository, my radixsort. And you notice that under code, it's still telling me that I can quickly set this thing up. There's nothing up here. So now if I go back to my GitHub desktop, I can publish all of this. It's just going to push everything up to the cloud. So notice it's syncing and its progress is occurring. We've got a progress bar up here as it's copying things to the cloud. Everything's all done. So now let's return to our github.com interface, and I'm going to refresh. And now we see that under code, we have our new project information. So this is a project that we created directly under the folder that we're using as our GitHub repository for this assignment. I can look at my radixsort project, look at the source code, see my Java file. So this is my first update. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to NetBeans and update some comments. This is my main method. This comment is changed source code. Now as we look at things here in NetBeans, we see that we have a little indicator here that we have some updated code. We can look at some tools in NetBeans directly. Use your team menu, and on your team menu, you might have to choose GitHub and tell it to connect. Mine's already doing that. So I'm going to click on this item up here that says Show Changes. And it shows me right here that my radixsort.java file has been modified. Some other things I could do on my team menu. I can commit my changes, again, just like I can do in the GitHub desktop. I could shelve my changes, like make them go away. I could add a new branch if I want to, and that is going to be something that you want to look at a little bit. We're doing some basic things here with GitHub, and you can do a lot more. I could do all sorts of different things. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and commit. Now, this is going to bring up a different screen, a different kind of commit message screen. Updated project documentation. And I do not want to amend my last commit, but I want to commit this file here. I'm going to commit it. Now, lots of different things here I can do looking at this change screen. Again, I have icons where I could do the commit, all those kinds of things. Look at different changes. Now, after I commit, I need to push. Remember, in our GitHub desktop, we use that sync option. Here in NetBeans, we're going to have to push to the remote. So I'm going to push that. And it knows what repository we're using and everything, because remember, we opened that information when we set up our GitHub desktop. Now let me see if I can get logged on here. And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to update that branch and finish. Now that I've logged on once, it'll be much easier if I want to do that. But no matter what, I need to make sure that I commit and push my changes up to GitHub, up to the cloud, if I want to be able to access them from a different location. Now I'm going to look at GitHub again, and I'm going to go back to our code window, and we should see that now we have a different comment here that we updated the project documentation. I'm going to look in our folder. We see some folders were updated when the project was created, some were updated when we updated that comment. I can look at our Java file. I can see that that comment was made. Now I can look at some other options here. The raw code, the blame game, which shows who made the updates. I can look at history for this file. Now when I'm looking at history for this file, I see the two different times it's been committed. Either time I could look at that code at that point in our history. I can copy it. So we can do some great things. We can look at our commits. Again, we can browse or copy our code. So lots of different things we can do. Take a look, get used to it. It's very, very helpful. You can look around for lots and lots of long time, obviously, like I'm doing. But use this to create and save your projects, and then I'll be able to access them through the GitHub Classroom, and you won't have to do anything special to share them with me. And you can keep your student repositories private and use them however you see fit. So if you want to have repositories for your project code and then copy it over to this project, that's fine also. Just make sure that you get something into your repository that is meaningful for this project that I'll be able to open. And we'll work through this, and hopefully it'll be beneficial for you to learn how to use a source code control system.